This is what surfing actually looks like for most of us, most of the time. And even that would be considered good for a lot of surfers. Most of the videos you see on YouTube do not reflect that reality, and that's simply because the algorithm really likes epic videos, world-class conditions, or really emotional situations. But the reality is that most sessions are not epic, they happen in average conditions, and they aren't exactly exciting to watch. And don't get me wrong, I'm guilty of this myself. I will admit that such conditions do not motivate me to bother with all the camera gear because I know from experience that the resulting video will be unlikely to perform well. So over time I've ended up recording only the best sessions in the best looking conditions. But a couple of you guys have requested a video like this, so there it is. This was a pretty bad session for me, and it's not even because the waves were that bad. They were weak and sectiony, yes, but they were a couple of really good ones out there. This was a bad session because I caught none of these good waves. It was just one of these days where you were somehow always sitting in the wrong spot, and I actually ended up missing more waves than I caught. In this session, I missed a total of 14 waves, which was a new record for me. And like I said, that was more than the number of waves I caught since I only rode 12 waves. But I'm actually quite happy with what I was able to do on such weak and tricky waves. And for me, 12 ridden waves is still way enough to make any session worth it.
Ah, ça commence. La session casse-couille commence.
That right there was the best set of the day, and I was nowhere near the peak. And like I said, that was a theme during this session. I just could not see those big sets coming. So after having missed 4 waves and the best set of the day, I finally started catching some waves, and I think you will be able to get a better feel for just how tricky to surf these were by watching my second wave of the day. I really was having a hard time picking up some speed on these waves, and I had to continuously bounce the board to keep it from sinking. I did end up getting a turn in, but I thought the section was going to give me more push than it did, so it ended up looking very flat. A much better wave obviously rolled in just after that, and it sort of felt like a way for the universe to remind me of just how poor my wave selection was on that day. That thing stretched out for so long and never sectioned either. It was painful to watch. Another wave missed, but that was a straight closeout, so I don't really know why I even went for it in the first place. On this wave, I think I had a good start, but I have a tendency to not hit the closeout sections, and that is something I feel like I need to work on. At the end of the day, we only get to catch so many waves per session, so I think it is generally good practice to try and make the most of every single one of them. That was one of my best waves, and this was also when the peak started shifting out of frame, unfortunately.
Ah, ça ferme.
It was very frustrating being so far off the peak when those really good waves rolled in. That thing was gorgeous and peeled perfectly. Another one of my best waves, although I did catch it pretty far from the peak. One thing I could have done better on this one is get a more vertical approach. On most waves, I was trying to keep as much projection down the line as possible through my turns, but this specific wave was not as sectiony and was braking much slower, so I could have possibly gone up and down more and gotten more out of it. I could see that this was a pretty good wave, but unfortunately I was nowhere near where it broke. It ended up peeling beautifully all the way through. Well, that was a very bad wave, and paddling for it gave my friend priority to catch the best wave of that set, which opened up very nicely. There are unfortunately not enough words in my English vocabulary to express the immense frustration that I felt after missing this one. I had a hard time finding an opening on that wave, but I think on waves like this, which tend to crumble from the top as if it was on shore, it is good practice to try doing floaters and foam climbs over sections that you think are going to crumble, instead of trying so hard to find a clean section to hit. Like I said earlier, I had set my camera wrong and the wave shifted out of frame towards the end of the session. I still kept it this one though because these turns were nice and you could see some of it on the edge of the frame. But the rest of this video is going to be mainly GoPro clips. Look at that. I mean, there were some good waves that day. I was just never on them. and then the ones I would paddle for were almost always much worse. This was my last good wave of the day. Very happy with this one. I hope you guys liked the video and found it interesting somehow. I must say, editing this was not as fun as editing a good session, so please let me know what you thought of it and if you'd like to see more relatable videos like this on the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.